something as if it's a fact, and Claudia never agreed. That is what manipulators do. They keep talking about it as if it's true, and over time they'll slowly try to brainwash you into thinking it's true. It's literally gaslighting, because it's like, oh wait, like did I agree? I guess I maybe did. The fuck.
I'm going to be a part of this. That would be what I want. In this scenario, I'm going to be on the beginning of like $100,000. I'm also going to be competitive and creative or something. I'm not filling out a $1 million thing and then just like saying it belongs to somebody else. And not for the price I've been paid or what I've been paid so far. I'm creating this product as its own separate entity because this is beyond just using your channel. This is beyond just using your influence. This is me, in my opinion, reaching out to literally every other contact I know to try to make this pull together.
Yeah, again, doing your job.
I'm doing everything I'm mad. I understand I'm passionate, so maybe I did not think this would be a sticking place. I apologize if it is. I will take some time to think it over, and maybe we can talk, and after some time to calm down and cool off, we can both of us about it, not be cool or be like calm, I guess, just think it over, and maybe we can come up with some sort of compromise, or make sure I guess revisit this again and have these people to make sure you feel heard, because I think that's an important part of the challenge, but also when you're trying to take it in. I would not put this much effort into something, but I'm not going to get to some sort of like, oh, you're going to sweating in this space. If we want to pull back and do a bunch of other stuff and like not go this.
Can you stop like snorting into the mic? Sorry. You keep saying these $1 million projects. Show me. I will believe it when I see it. And all these people at esports do is lie. Over and over and over again. They will lie up, down, left, and right. They will lie about their mom's name. They lie about everything.
And not spend like the next 6 months or a year working on it, and it's just like a 2-month thing or whatever, or even if it's just an 8-month thing, but it's just on a much smaller scale, then whatever, and I can do my own thing and title it something different or whatever. But with as much as I'd be putting into this, I can't justify putting that much into it, and then just being a footnote when it's all said and done. If it goes on to go season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5.
Alright, I'm gonna lose it with the amount who's like snorting into the mic.
I'm gonna need some time to process and come up with my thoughts because right now just having more stuff thrown at me is not going to help, and I'm getting more upset, and that's not going to help me get my thoughts across right now, and that's where I'm at right now.
Alright, back to the talk, guys, because that was easy to listen to. Here, Shino's not showing up to meetings. So Shino's asking, bro, I didn't hear from you. Were we gonna have this meeting? Shino says, it was my fault, I overslept. Another time, the day later, oh, we actually went to the hospital, let's reschedule. And then, hey, like, here's some stuff we need to work on. This is what Claudia says. Oh, by the way, I thought you wanted to chat during that time. I was already there. And then Shino was like, oh, I was shooting for around now for us to talk. But, if you're busy, then we can talk later. And then Claudia's like, dude, I have to practice with my team. These are the only times I'm available. When you asked if we could meet today, I assumed that you meant we would meet during the time slot for the heirs meeting. And in the future, please tell me when you're not able to make stuff. And then Shino says, sorry, I'll work on that a bit more. I'm a bit busy. And to be clear, I said later referring to after the meeting, not during the same time. And then Claudia is again talking about, hey, about the meeting, I didn't get the invite. Then Shino's talking something about thumbnails, etc. And then Claudia has to remind him again about the meeting. Look at when he sends this. He sends this at 11:40. And then Claudia bumps it at 12:08. Okay, meeting, because it's been 30 minutes and you haven't responded. And then about the meeting, and then Shino says, soon. I was about to write that. Please don't get pushy. I was looking at my board and making sure something works for both. And Claudia says, what? I was not being pushy. Here, Claudia trying to put boundaries. So here, Claudia saying, what message you about the call you told me yesterday. I'm coming to let you know my feelings. I'm not trying to bitch, but it made me extremely uncomfortable. I don't have anything against Lisa, don't know who that is, but I've been feeling very overwhelmed and everything going on. However, I don't feel like as a grown adult that I'm in trouble for not sharing something on social media for somebody. So this is referring to Emma Lisa. And additionally, Anya Tuesday, and I was in trouble for not doing so despite not having spoken to her. That I was in the midst of getting stuff set up for my VSMP and that the talk could have been later and that it could have been done better. And that as a manager, it's supposed to be a partnership, but yesterday felt like the opposite. And Shino says that he hated doing it that way, that it was not his goal to make Claudia feel that way, that he's been trying to get everybody work together as a team. That a retweet is 2 seconds, but it wasn't much about the retweet itself. That he's trying to show that everyone needs to support each other and that everyone has their own things, but the little things mean a lot to people. And that while she hasn't been around everybody for a while because she distanced herself, she claims that she rated and went to streams and felt ignored, and that nobody rated her back, etc., and she felt left out. But that he hears from Claudia and Orca that it feels like they're competing with trying to find complementary ideas, and like people are just confused, I guess, and that it was mentioned that Emma Lisa is Shino's partner because she thinks that's why people aren't interacting with her, and because Shino thinks there might be some issues. That this isn't something new to any group, that he saw it in the shoujo, he saw it in Orca's event, and a million times before, and he's trying to get everyone together to work together. That Claudia did things without that much notice, and that he didn't really like know what's going on, and that her priorities were her new events and then getting a good partner, and that he's been trying to like work on that. Then Flotty says, "You said you were overwhelmed with projects and I had to pick which ones for you, so I handled it, got help. It just this weekend was ramping up, and yesterday was the opening, and I had to take some stuff away from Zaddy and Guilty because we both had events." Again, you just need to acknowledge how inappropriate it is for the manager to try to coerce their talents to favor his girlfriend. Like, this to me is just crazy. Claudia adds, "Not receiving final copies of contracts." So here, Claudia is asking for a contract, and then Shino says, "Oh, I'll send it over, I don't know where it went," and then asks you to send the invoices. Claudia adds, "I paid an additional $500 each month for 4 full-length edited videos, between 10 to 12 minutes, and 15 clips between 1 to 3 minutes, for 9 months starting in May 2024. On my contract re-signing on February 1st, I requested to not pay that because I was still owed 13 videos and 71 clips because there were months when nothing was done. He agreed to do a 2-month contract without it to allow time to catch up and provide the videos that are behind. But when he sent the contract, it only removed the YouTube wording completely. I had to ask multiple times via call and the following messages to have it added to the contract before I was re-signed." So here Claudia is saying, hey, the YouTube video stuff is missing and it's not in the contract. I'm still missing a lot of videos that I paid good money for. I paid $4,500 for 36 full-length videos and 135 fully edited clips. Looking back, I've received 23 full-length videos and 64 edited clips, and I want the contract updated to represent it. And Shino says, "So new contract is for 2 months. It's not in there for more videos because I'm using these 2 months to make up the missing videos. Did I mention that?" And Claudia didn't understand. I'll like to reflect the contract is the remaining balance of videos are going to be worked on during this time period. I like it in there. And Shino says, "That's fine. I want to be clear. These will not be extra videos, only finishing the videos owed. Clear?" And Claudia says, "I know that, that's what I'm saying." And yeah, I completely agree. Contracts are legally binding, and you want to make sure you get everything in writing in contract. So yes, Claudia is completely correct in binding, getting to put it in words in there. Promoting his partner in my VSMP collab server. So these are the Claudia is asserting her boundaries, stating that she doesn't want anything to do with Annalisa because of Shino promoting her without Claudia's knowledge in the VSMP, and that Claudia would not be promoting her on their socials and list out the socials, and that asks for their boundaries to be respected, and that they want to focus on themselves and not let life overwhelm them. And Shino says, "I have no idea what you mean about promotion. I haven't done any of that." And Claudia says, "You did not promote her in VC in my Rust server tonight." And Shino says, "Brutal, my friend asked me what I was working on, so yeah, I sent it to him, and somebody asked what we're talking about, so I sent it to them in DMs." Claudia said, "I received a DM from somebody in the Rust server that asked if you're drinking because you were slurring words and talking about a debut for a client and sending it to people." Oh my god, this is crazy though. Claudia says, "I'm not that, I'm reinstating my boundaries. I wasn't going to ask about it, but I want my boundaries to be respected." And Shino is like, giga defense mode. He's like, "My friend asked a question, I'm gonna answer." That's all that happened there. I didn't go there and tell everybody to watch her debut. I just answered the question. And then Claudia said, "Okay, then my boundary shouldn't be an issue." Shino says, "Never have been." Claudia says, "Thank you." This is crazy. Look at what Shino says in DMs. Side note, bold. I'm trying very hard to focus on myself right now and not let life overwhelm me and feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle alone. I do not need the additional stressor of somebody else's inner battles, end quote. So this is a message that Claudia sent as part of setting boundaries, right? And then Shino was like blowing her off, being like, "This is confusing. Life comes at us fast, but not the fighting alone. You raised $10,000 over 3 months of your community to pay for life-changing surgery. You've grown your stream 33% this year. You made tons of new friends. All that being said, you're doing a lot more." And then he says, "You have to give yourself time to adjust to the new things." And I would say, "Pace yourself." That's weird. Talk about not listening. Telling him as professionally as possible my feelings, my burnouts, and the need for help. So here, Claudia, this is January, the beginning of 2025, like day 2, January 2nd. Claudia writes, "I'm very tired lately, and I felt like you don't have enough time for all of us. There's been some disconnect. I took a week away because I felt like it was very needed for me, that I've done a lot of thinking, and I want to see some changes. The parties and conventions are great, and I'm glad you're excited about them, but they won't help me reach my goals or hit partners. I don't like the feeling of competition between the other girls that are sometimes fostered. I'm very uncomfortable with the situation I've been put in regarding Orca and Fortune. My meetings feel rushed, like they aren't a priority, and we spend a better chunk of them talking about overall ideas that aren't really something that affects me directly or helps me directly. Things that I have asked for help with are forgotten. I'm struggling right now, and I really would like it if we figure something out." And then Shino says, "Do you have time to talk?" Claudia says, "Yeah." They're kind of talking back and forth about like clips and stuff like that. I think it's interesting because Shino says, "Oh, you know, a lot of them, I don't like them as clips. A lot of them are rehashed clips with penny views." If you guys don't know about Eclipse, it is a tool where it can like auto-generate clips for you. It can generate like 10 at a time. So like if you owe her 70 videos and all you did was doing like Eclipse clips for her, you're like barely doing anything in my opinion. That's something, I guess. But it's not like as much work as Chino, I feel like, is making it sound like, basically. So then they're talking about a meeting, and then here Plotty asks about our culture, and then Chino says, oh, I haven't reached out yet. I read over their current back and forth, but I haven't had a chance to talk about drops yet. And then Plotty is talking about a merch drop they're working on that they want to do with Aura culture. And then here, this is what Plotty said, but Chino says, I'm not 100% sure they'll be willing to work with you, given your current size. But 100% between you and me, I've seen they had combos where they merged with Redacted, and comparing that to the combo they've had about their merch with another person, the guy really is very particular about who does merch with, and is very much more of, I'm gonna do merch with this person. So kind of saying that Plotty is not big enough. Here is the one-shot sponsorship opportunity where Plotty accuses Chino of calling them annoying in chat, and Chino says, my voice to text messed up, I'm guessing. And here it says, for the most part, I'm sure she's just, and he changed to wondering, but it says allegedly annoying. Plotty writes, Chino created a group chat with all current talents at the time, myself, Guilty Orca, Bibli, and Annalisa. He said he wanted to make a video similar to a style that we showed had made in the past, and he wanted us to choose 3 words to describe ourselves. You don't have this group chat because he removed all of us the next day, but I have screenshots of combos about it. In the group chat, Orca and Guilty both chose the word mom. He told Orca to change hers so it wasn't the same to motherly. I chose words of brat, menace, and goofy at 1:33 p.m. She originally had other words I don't have a record of, but then changed them to goofy, sussy, brat at 5:16. I waited for Chino to respond similarly that one of us needed to change, and he did not. So I replied to group chat that those 2 I had already chosen, and I need to know if I was required to change mine. He said no. It was fine like it was. It bothered me, so I sent him the message below. He then deleted all of it and started removing someone from a bunch of my group chats that he originally told me was his assistant, who I found that later on was Annalisa's alt account. She is also to this day in my business Discord with admin because he refused to give me ownership of said Discord, and despite requesting that she does not have access to the confidential business material. That is logical. Just sinking your girlfriend in positions of power with other people, crazy. This is a huge conflict of interest because literally, Annalisa is also talent. So why does talent have like manager roles and manager level access that makes her privy to private information that she would have never talent? So here is the thing where again he was okay with Lisa Brat, and then here Plotty basically talking about that to Guilty, and then here Plotty apologizes, and Chino says, I'm trying to get you guys to talk about yourself more, want you guys to get some more space, and then Plotty is again saying how their uncomfortable words are the same as other people's words, and who's like, oh, maybe like they need to redo it again. And here you can see Chino kicked Annalisa. Having my mods come to him for things before me, this specific incident was in relation to VSMP, a server I created without his help, and ran completely without his help. He has nothing to do with the server, and outside of to get my attention, he does not interact with the server. So here, drag Chino some VSMP drama, and then Dragon sent that to you, and Chino says he always keeps me in the loop of things going down. I'm your manager, he lets me know if things are happening so I can help in case I miss it. And then here, removing me from group chats regarding my business, then avoiding responding to me when I ask about it. Here, Plotty's like, and then he ignores it, and Plotty's like, I'm not a partner, did you see my previous message? And Chino says, I did not, I'm in a meeting, but I'll get to that in a bit. Just ignored again. And then here, Plotty is asking to fuck, and then here, Plotty again is like, I feel like you're ignoring me. And again, she goes like, yo, what about the 13 videos, you know? Like, I'm supposed to have 13 videos by the end of this contract. And that I'm concerned that they're going to drop back to back. And Chino's like, I don't intend to drop them back to back. Ideally, we'll do them twice a week, and you'll have them past the end of the contract that are scheduled to go out. Here, Plotty says, when he first asked me to go up on my monthly cost to add the 4 long-form videos and the 15 edited clips. So this is a discussion back and forth between the payments, 500 for the video. More I'm getting as a video with all the clips mashed together doesn't feel good having that count as a full video because it's different. Yeah, so Chino is trying to defend that, but I do agree that a best of compilation is not the same as a full edited video because the amount of time and effort is different that you have to put into it. A compilation is a lot easier to do. So they're kind of discussing about, and then Plotty says, okay, I'm fine with that as long as they have more content in them than what is already existing on YouTube. And then Chino is basically defending himself. Oh, it's not going to be the same, they wouldn't be seen by the same people, clips are shorter, the best of are like longer, and different people will watch it, so talking about different people. So here he says, hey, about the review, I told you guys because I want you guys to know in case she slithered her way over to you guys, but I don't if you can go sharing it. Outside, I want you to be natural with her, and child with her. That's weird. So here they're like talking about red flags, I guess. So here's the AI, and Plotty said, can we make sure not to use AI in the thumbnail, please? And I realized the background of the thumbnail is AI, and that makes me extremely uncomfortable. Chino is defending against the thumbnail artist, stating maybe he grabbed it from Google and it was, like a Google search, but he doesn't go out of his way to use AI. And Claudia says, I use Photoshop daily for my job. You can generate AI images directly in Photoshop, and that's what it looks like. She knows again stating that he doesn't think it's AI. And Claudia, I'm like, yeah, if somebody says something, I'm in trouble for using AI, not you guys, even though I didn't even agree to it. And Chino says, oh, I'll talk to him, I guess, but again, once again, and he's like, I don't think it's AI. But yeah, Claudia's like, hey, maybe we should do some more research to figure out what looks like AI and what isn't. And he's like, well, a lot of people misconstrue things as AI when it's not. Like, he actively just does not want to believe his talent. And then, oh, I guess this is the thumbnail or the slide. And he's like, the image in the first slide is AI. And Chino says, are you sure? The necklace, the microphone with all the artifacts on the microphone, the hair swoop that goes away. AI. The background is great AI. I agree. Yeah, Claudia has a good idea. You see all the artifacts in the microphone? Artifacts in the microphone that give was melting into the collar of the clothing, the giveaway here, the hair swoosh artifacting in the hair. This is also straight AI, this background. And then here Claudia attaches emails that they've sent over to Chino, and we know, Claudia said, they were emailing Chino, and Chino was just ghosting the shit out of them. And then here we have Discord between them and Chino. Oh, here you can see Chino deleted all of their messages. Like, it looks like Claudia is just having an absolute crazy one-sided convo. Chino takes the call, and talking, yeah, Chino deleted all of the messages. That is crazy. By the way, just want to add, a monthly outfit change, this feels because there's a lot of documents involved, so the recording will take place over. Anyways, now we're on to the second part, which is Guilty's section of the document. So Guilty writes, in my personal experience with Chino Nazu and Class BG, I like to preface all of this by stating that none of the artists or anybody who worked through Chino were in the wrong. They were already in a contract with him prior to our work together. They all have to make a living, and I do not blame them at all. Also, my screenshots of what I could grab, as he deleted a year's worth of messages between us after another talent had left. I sent up Chino December 2023. The first few months seemed to go rather good. Chino was great at giving advice, directing me, and helping me when I had ideas and concepts, giving me tips on how to bring the concepts together. To me, it seemed like this was the right choice, especially because we were friends before all of this. Still, it wasn't. He slowly made it clear that he was growing really busy and started to show inconsistency with upholding his end of the contract. I was using him only to be ignored, although I was to have open communication with him for my contract. His timing for meetings was awful. I would have to contact his partner to call and see if he was awake. On multiple occasions, he would either come hours late, just try to reschedule after leaving me waiting for hours, or would respond days later with excuses. To make it worse, he did not care or even coming up. I expressed that my preferred meeting days were Friday or Saturday, but I was open to mornings on any day as long as I didn't have any family appointments. He would intentionally just ignore some talents, then after the debut or con, would make excuses of how he was just so busy that whole week. He was inconsistent with communicating as well as providing clips. He assured me that he had in-house clip editors, but was constantly training some on hiring new. Sometimes months would go by and no word. They would draw either some great formatted clips or awful ones that made no sense. He would eventually ask me to add 2 editors to both Twitch and YouTube. They would post and it would be either great or once again okay and made no sense. At that point, I went back to scrubbing for myself and looking for an editor who had no problem with their daily clips. When asked, he would just say that I wasn't entertaining him, which sucked to hear, but no, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Or how, quote, not words, I realized he would turn around and say the same thing for most of the talents. I want to add, my theory as to why some that probably look good and some don't is probably some of them, like an editor genuinely edited the, and then others, he probably uses sort of AI scrubbing software that would like take a VOD and then spit out like X amount of clips. So that's probably why the quality varies so much. Also, second, if you're the manager for your talent, you should be your talent's biggest advocate. What do you mean telling your talent that they aren't funny enough or they aren't entertaining enough? That is gross. You should be uplifting your talent, not putting them down. Now, when everything with TwitchCon happened, I will preface and say I was not there. I had no plans for going to TwitchCon until this year after I debuted. But I didn't stop stuff getting back to me, like his partner talking awful about it, people confirming it, him downplaying it. And to make it worse, when I contacted him after seeing one of his talent's posts, he downplayed what happened with her and her friend. Now, all the other talent who were there made it clear that he was not always with them, like he had told. When it came to his partner, Annalisa BT, I originally had no issues with her, until she kept talking shit about me and spreading lies. People I didn't even know reached out to me, claiming she said that because of me, he took all of her money to pay for all of my stuff for my debut. I haven't lived everything he had paid for. The majority I did. After that, I pulled away from her and decided to keep it cordial. I just wanted to focus on me, my community, and my debut. Who then downplayed every mistake she made but while working for him on this class. She was supposed to help write my awards breakdown. I gave her what she needed for my initial ideas, the month and one scientist. He asked to know, and he turns it into, you should have contacted me. I knew. I usually go to him for all of his employees while they work on stuff with him. So I did it myself, expressed that it had nothing to do with her, and moved on. Remember an issue with Polly and her working on war before, and should have followed my gut instinct to not do it. Because sure enough, she did not uphold her. She knows clear bias for her partner, and excusing her behavior was never okay. Like, I was made to be the one in the wrong while she is just too timid. Then comes a petty script. I am not friends with this partner. In the past, yes, but after everything, I did the adult thing and just moved on. He berated me for not sharing her debut stuff. Tried to paint me and others as mean girls, although she had done something to everyone under him. I wanted to avoid drama with him and her as he
Hello.
always tried to scare
Thank you.
everybody by saying he
I also love Batman. I'm drawing my Sona with an updated design, and so I always change what my Sona's wearing, but lately it's just been a Batman shirt.
So integrated into his system. There can be maybe ways where you can help them do it, but this guy does not know boundaries, and again, the clear favoritism he's doing for your partner is affecting all of the other tasks, and she's bad at her job. She's not doing the lore. He consistently took credit for stuff other VTubers had already been doing, and always made it seem like it was his thing before anyone else's, especially his talents. Stuff finished working on way before him, and he had no problem trying to smack his name on it with little to no SRO work on his side. I have made it clear to him I do not in group chat with artists, we were working in conversations through separate DMs to keep me out of it. I felt as the main client that I too deserve to be part of the combo on him. If you make it very clear that he did not feel the same way, something is hard to make people feel uncomfortable to work with me due to his behavior or that they couldn't accomplish. I felt awful. If he would always blame them, and I would just brush it off because I was unsure of how to move around him in these situations. But his behavior on demanding access to my files has not sat well with me, or how he treated my rig artist. I had even asked him to write a contract so my partner could sign it between them in my rig pen, and instead of doing that, he decided he was going to sign it himself. Then he got a copy of my fully rigged model to keep us backup, while also trying to intimidate them, which I do not feel comfortable with, especially after everything that happened to Diddley Garland. A lot of people later tell me they assumed he was my husband, as he had never corrected anybody since they shared a similar username, which in turn made me feel uncomfortable. By the way, demanding the full VTuber model file of your VTuber talents? Weird. Why do you do that? I have asked on multiple occasions to please provide me with the invoice so I can pay back everything and then move on. He has verbally made it clear that he had never expected me to pay him back and that I did not need to. Till he decided to terminate the contract because I did not want to give him access to my fully rigged model. As of 1 to 2 months before my debut, he would literally ignore me, making it hard to communicate with him or even seek advice, help, or even guidance from him. But it did not stop him from demanding to be paid on time. I was used to him asking for the month's prior stats, then sending an invoice. But when he wasn't talking to me, I was just waiting on him to respond to my DMs or ask. When he sent me an invoice, I was literally late a few days, which he then included me to important combos with artists on stuff that involved my debut. Keep in mind, being late was the only way to get into contact. How can I fix an issue if you actively choose to ignore somebody reaching out to you? I was then made aware that he had done with other clients of his whenever they made him upset or were late with payment. I will not be posting screenshots to keep them anonymous and safe. It was his way of punishing me for not doing it right away as he, although he could never be on time himself or with paying certain artists. I didn't like that he went out of his way to hold it over my head and turn around and treat me like a child. But if you were to point out how he isn't doing his job or a good job, he was quick to blame everyone else. At the time, I did not slide the issue pertaining to Diddley because of an issue that had happened between all of us. I regret now not hearing her out, and for that I apologize profusely. She did not deserve to be treated the way she did by him. Hornets was getting fed up with him not upholding his end and actually doing on the contract stated. I'm not gonna lie, I do keep with some of my friends about stuff going on in the VTuber space and did send him a screenshot or a link of what Luki and others said about their experience with TwitchCon, and he would go on to downplay it. He overall is not a good manager unless they're making him crazy amounts of money and talks down about all of his talents, big or small, as well as sharing their private works, lies, and details without their consent. So here we have the video between Guilty and Shino and the Stylist, where Shino was trying to get Guilty to give the model.
Oh, that was fine. Only thing, I don't have the actual, fully finished rig model anyway. Sam is still working. I was just talking to him. He will have an update, and everything should be fine. He said he has to fix one little thing that he tossed, and then he'll send it to me, and then that way I can take a look at it, go over it, make sure everything's okay. if something needs to be fixed, he can get right on it because he knows you don't have one. I understand and I respect that, you know, he has religious holidays, and I get, you know, I'm not the religious side, but I'm going to respect him being able to, you know, religious identity and what they have to do.
That's just business, yeah. That's almost right. I get all that. I haven't had a problem with any of that. The only thing I'm confused is to like why you're under the impression that I shouldn't have it to be able to check and touch for things myself. Like, I have no experience with this. I've never checked for touch or anything. I was like, it
Oh, I
is
never
the
said
I'm a name.
experience or anything like that. I'm just saying.
Because that's not what I don't understand this mindset of like, you don't want to give it to me. For what reason? I've been a part of the entire process up to this point. There hasn't been an issue like this the entire process up to this point.
That is so gross. I don't get why you can't just give it to me. That is so weird. Again, giving the fully rigged model over to somebody is crazy. I'm not a VTuber, but I really don't think that is standard practice for VTuber managers to have. Because that's like having your skin to wear.
What is the issue now?
It wasn't. I wanted it done 65 ways, so I was.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with the way you have it. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to check it or test it. That's still part of my job. I don't understand the reason for not wanting you to do that.
Okay, I was under the impression that like your job was to literally help manage and help lead coordination. It had nothing to do with the actual like you need a copy.
Well, are you telling what you're telling me is you don't want to send the model? You don't want me to have it, or you don't think I should have it?
Oh, I just figured like it was just all mine. Like I was just going to figure out how I wanted it rigged. I wasn't looking for anybody's like other opinion on it, other than me just trying to break it and seeing this was the quality that I wanted. That was pretty much it. I didn't have any expectation of sharing it with anybody besides all of my backups that I have.
My general thoughts, not really worried about like changing your quality. My only thought was basically just to test it. All that they ever use them for is to test it, and if we needed to create thumbnails, which we've done before, and you had the thumbnail situation. And I've never had the situation with you where I've needed to ask you for a thumbnail over and over again. Like I've just been able to have you do it, but that doesn't mean as I've gotten more experience protecting, I've also practiced learning how to basically how to break them, what might cause different. I'm basically doing different tutorials myself since this is the 8th model I've worked on at this point to like check for things that you might miss or that you check or the things that I've learned recently from working with. They should work in most cases, but things back and forth sometimes you get kind of issues, asking things like that. But quite further bring past that. Are you saying to me right now you do not want me to have the model because you don't think I need to have it, or you just don't want me to have it?
I mean, I don't think you need that. I was already doing everything like pushing it myself the way that I wanted. I didn't think I needed to really run it past anybody. I don't really feel the need to really share with anybody that. I'm just like, I mean, like I don't even I don't know what your mindset has been, why you've come to this conclusion. This is not how we work up until this point. I'm not going to continue working like this.
Bro can't take no for an answer. Guilty says they don't want to give it to you. Just be like, other ways, you know? Oh, let's hop on a call so I can watch you break the model. Or for the thumbnail photos, you know, just make sure you send me crappy, tag, try, all the toggles, stuff like that. You don't need a model for this. Guilty can do it themselves.
From playing back and forth games, half this, half truth, half that. I'm not interested in it anymore. That's what I'm going to do. I wanted to, at the very least, just work for the debut, get you the debut, and have you do that. But for whatever reason, you seem to want to be split in terms of combating and not actually like work to get at least towards your own debut. I'm not going to say the
you have not tried to communicate with me about my debut or anything. You wanted to be petty because I didn't share all of
you wanted to be petty. No, you wanted to be petty. And you wanted to hide information from me.
That's not my information. I just didn't.
Yes, you did. No, exactly. You hide information from me for the purpose of not involving drama, but then made it into an issue. Made it much bigger. Probably should have been addressed when it happened, yes. But I asked multiple times to address the situation because I had no idea any of this was going on. You decided because you whether you wanted to be drama or you wanted to be petty or whatever the case it was, all of you decided you guys wanted to handle it on your own and didn't handle it properly. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with you anymore about it. I'm not here to argue with anybody about it anymore. But I'm going to change it up from the work experience up into this point. I'm just going to send you a refund for the last 6 months. So from here to TwitchCon, since that's when this seems to have started for you, about $1,900. You can keep the last 230, and then I'm just gonna send you the termination here, so hey, we're gonna stop here. I would like to at least get you in. If you're not gonna want to work past your baby, not even gonna want money from the baby. I just wanted to actually get your baby properly to make sure it works. But it does not seem to be enough for your heads at. And I'm not gonna be trying to work with someone who I feel is actively working against me or working against me. I'm not doing that anymore. That's what we're doing. We should refund our already calculated about $1,900, $2,000 back just for we keep it, whatever. And then
Already calculated? Wait a sec. At least he went into this call planning it. Because this is a guy that's like playing on games in call, like need a calculator, do basic math. What do you mean you got this $1,900 off the top of your head? You knew. Like you went. Like,
just you can handle your stuff from here. I'm gonna move forward. We're just gonna end it there. Okay?
I mean, all I wanted was to be able to see some course stuff, and that was it.
And all I wanted was to be able to check the models, and apparently that was an authority. So, if you don't want me to get out there, whatever that really means. I'm not arguing with you about it. I'm not arguing with you about it. So if that's what you want, that's what we're gonna do. Okay?
that is so unprofessional of a manager to talk to their client like that. I can't believe this dude follows my Twitter. Still, they got screenshots. Once again, Rose missing meeting. She's like, meeting? Hello? And then Chino overslept. So they take the call at around 1, lasts for about an hour. Then Chino, he says, gotta eat some waffle groceries if you want to make up for yesterday. They've got a friend of TCO. Then, again, Guilty's like, hey, we missed the meeting the other day, so I'm curious if you're free. Another one. When will meeting schedules come out? Chino, are you good? I'm really classy about a meeting. Chino gives excuses about being hectic with events, stuff like that, and bonds. Then talking about some clips. Then Chino here talking about payments. So stating the Lord video is $1,000. You know how much we paid for the art. You know how much we're looking to pay for the rig. Gave some scripts $75 to $100 each. The milk was like $200. Talking about how Chino has to chase other people down for payments. So here, screenshot proof of Chino upsetting an artist that Guilty wanted to work with. So artist Ian Chino apologizing privately of having to cancel a call and stating, not many times in my artist's career have I done this and I feel so bummed out. I feel happy that you found me by recommendation and decided to choose me as an artist, and I was excited about working on the model since it's different than what I usually do. But I was not pleased with the way your manager handled things, which was not your fault at all, of course. Really hope you can find another amazing artist to work with you, and I wish you the best. Here, Chino making excuses for his partner. Here, Guilty is frustrated. The simple fact
Are we right back?
Put on hold because
Wait,
I was
listen, try-
on Annalisa to do something she then didn't even do. And to turn around and just have to do it myself soft. Then to find out myself as I put on hold for her and redact it in a while. I asked both of you about this. You both said you're waiting on the other, and it took me to ask you guys. Not either of you checked in with each other. Then Guilty being a little understanding, Chino says, but without any other real sign, she was too timid to reach out. It's a her thing. But as somebody who gets the same complaint a lot and made about me, it does help me to make the extra step. Who gives a shit about whether she's too timid or not? Sorry, this is so mean. I don't give a crap about your feelings about being timid if you have a job to do. And your job is to write lore. And if you are too timid to then communicate with your client to write the lore, then don't do it. Then find a different job that doesn't involve interacting with people if you're timid to. So here Annalisa checks in and she's ready for a call. Guilty says yes. So they call. Then Annalisa says, hey, so she not mentioned we had a misunderstanding. I was under the impression we're going to update the lore you sent over to me to better represent when we talked about it. That's my fault. I'm sorry for not reaching out sooner. Chino asked me to focus on the background portion of your work first, so I've updated the document to do that. Let me know what you think. And then a month later, so December 4th, 2024, Annalisa apologized for how they handled the lore. They should have talked to Guilty about it more instead of me. And then they send a birthday kudo board wish to me. Me asking about TwitchCon, him painting one of his talents negatively and him neutral. Downplaying the situation. And Guilty says, bro, what's happening at TwitchCon? You didn't see Orca's tweets? Then Chino says, so hear me out. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but Orca was mixing her drink with some new meds that her doctor gave her. And Guilty says, Lord, what the hell? Chino says, I'm pretty sure her drink was fine, but she had cotton mouth in the reaction to meds and drinks. And just high anxiety and being 5 to 6 drinks in just made them freak out. But here Chino says, they were with me all night. I was keeping an eye on all of them. We sent Orca home a little early with Lisa, but Simply and Body were fine. The drinks are good and cheap compared to the rest of the weekend, and I think the girls just drink a little more than they thought. Not trying to discredit both, but I've seen drug reactions. They're fine but just overly anxious and drunk. That being said, I can't say for sure about Hades at the other party. She was at a party for 4 hours and was at ours, so I don't know where she was when she thinks it's happened. Guilty says, oh, that's worrisome. And she goes, yeah, I already have green covers. Orica just stopped using his, but again, I don't necessarily think they had any issues. One of the scary things about roofies is they're relatively useless, and what I'm saying is because they thought something pays it off. And if you've actually been roofing, you're just kind of out. They were just over anxious while being drunk. There was a lot of emotional stuff going on with them, including Amy's too. I don't know if Shino's like sober, because there's a lot of fake photos happening. Then Guilty sent over and Guilty's tweet, and Shino says, listen, I'm ignoring this chick and blacklisting her going told. And Guilty's curious, and Shino says, I didn't bother, she's done enough damage already. I've already had multiple sponsors reach out to me with concerns. I had a long talk with Orca about this today. Okay, not believing victims is disgusting, especially if you're their talent manager, okay? Maybe Shino just got hurt because it was an event he put on with a sponsor or a big event, so it maybe looks bad on him that somebody got roofied. But the thing is, and this is the unfortunate reality of TwitchCon, but people get roofied at TwitchCon every single year, and it sucks. If you guys are going, be safe, keep your drinks always within your face, right? Try not to drink too much, use your drink covers, and if you put your drink down and you come back and you're not sure, just get another drink. Okay, another $17, a little expensive, but your safety is the most important thing. But again, going out here and like discrediting your talents behind your back in DMs to other talent, that is disgusting. Again, so unprofessional. They were using the invoices as well as admitting to remove me, with adding back them and moving again. So Guilty's like, wait, I'm looking up at the lore artist and then the group is gone. She knows that there seems to be some confusion. Guilty's like, we need a combo and I would like an invoice for the model art Haru stuff and Nina's as well. Shino said, it's person enough, but there seems to be a major issue, so we need to talk. Shino said, suspending service for something you haven't paid for this month isn't weaponizing it. Literally, any service provider will do the same thing. You don't pay your cell phone, it gets turned off. If you don't pay for the premium, they cancel it. I didn't bug you just yet about paying for last month for your reputation, but I also figured we need to have a talk before anything else, which we did. I haven't re-added you to anything since we had that talk yet, because I was following up on the things you told me in that talk to verify them and address them as needed. I'm going to hit you today to see if you're free to talk in a bit to go over those things and get things to be initiated. If you're Guilty is asking for access to art, and Shino says, you're almost done, let me know if you have some time. Then here, Guilty's like, hey, the next day, so April 5th, 2025, can I get access back to the groups? Then gets ghosted. Next day, Guilty's like, hey, please put me back in the group chat. And then just give me the invoices to the art. Here, Guilty asks again to get access to the art because they have work to do. Then Shino sends himself and sends some weird message being like, manager redacted agrees to give the talent redacted access to the GT. Guilty learned lore art, people guide, and April 7th, 4:15 p.m. for 24 hours until April 8th, and then sends another probably like ChatGPT contract line in Discord, granting Guilty the talent the rights to modify the artwork. This is so weird. Why are you giving your talent a 24-hour access to the drive of the art? Why can't you just have the drive? And then somebody removed and said maybe. He also did it on another group chat and re-added her, but he doesn't tell us anything as to why he removed her and re-added her. Again, that's weird. I don't think straight up with you. I was late on paying my management because we used to pay them when I was in Asia, and then I realized, wait, I disabled my phone line. I told him, I could pay you now, but like, I gotta pay $10 to reactivate my phone line for a day to get the two-factor, or I can just pay y'all when I get back. And they're like, sure, don't worry about it, pay this when I get back, and I pay them when I landed back in the US, right? Like, trust goes both ways, and if you're a little late on payment, sure, it's a little unprofessional. It was unprofessional of me to be late to pay my manager agency, yeah. But at the same time, they were literally also on vacation. So, yeah, they're probably just not as responsive, maybe missed the payment because they didn't realize what day it was. Oops, well, benefit of doubt goes a long way, but switched up from the moment they didn't get money. Him demanding my grid files. So Shino is pinging maybe potentially the artist, being like checking on the model, needing updates. And then Shino says, I need the model files set in here as well. Just for both of you to know. So I'm like the back and forth, but I need updates in here and the model file when available. And then this looks to be from the artist, where they say, hi Shino, I already gave the model file to Guilty as of last week, and already worked on some adjustments to suit her liking as well. We'll be sending back the file again in 2 days, and also I'll ask Guilty about the file as to where I have to send it. And Shino says, I need the model sent to me as well, as I was going to pay for the model art, and to have a backup in case Guilty loses it. Is that clear? Hey, checking in. I don't mind the to her on the day-to-day, but I need the final update in the group chat, as we're coming up on the final date listed in the contract. 9. The contract the final draft by no later than March 10, 2025, and the finished project by no later than March 17. If more time is needed, I need to know as well as the current state of the model and rigging. Here, Guilty states that the artists have contacted them with updates. Look, again, that's so in and identity of the VTuber that you got to watch. That is a lot for you to have. I'm not a VTuber, I'm not a VTuber manager. I don't know. If I were a VTuber and Indie1, I'd feel really uncomfortable giving that away because that is, I'm glad you have a credit rating for girls, like honestly. Example of them. And wow, look at this. It looks like Guilty's having like a crazy convo with themselves in Discord. Being like, you know,
Did not realize I was blowing on the mic, I'm sorry.
Channel trailer. Oh yeah, when we talk about LLC, then kind of thing. Hey, you don't want to check in if you're okay. When we do a meeting this week, I got ideas. Hey, you, let me check. So here's the DMs. It looks to be a debate about crediting, where Guilty says, oh, okay, that has nothing to do with ownership. I have no problem crediting class for what y'all did. And Shino is worried about people who have removed credits. And Shino says, so I don't mind giving you the art to use for the lore video and review, but I'm not comfy with full rights, so you can claim we did not work on it later. You went from release for use to full ownership, which goes into release something else from that point. And Guilty says, you can add to the contract that I will list class for credit. And yeah, because my husband asked, are we now retaining ownership until paying? And Shino says, I like to believe you to observe, but you haven't been upfront with me about a lot of things. So I'm at the point I can't be sure to take your word. Full ownership will also include commercial use, which is not covered in my agreement with the contract. I mean, neither have you, or really at the point of not taking each other's word. Hence, I'm requesting this all be in the contract. That's fine, I'll contact you and myself when we can see about the commercial use. And Shino says, it is not for me to facilitate your contract for this work is with me. And Guilty says, that's the point. You've been releasing the contract to me, because I am now covering the cost. It's still Venus art, whom I would go to for commercial use. Unless you have already paid for it, which you paid it and did not. Dude, bro is weirdly power tripping. Our last conversation, well, he also terminated my contract because I refused to give him a copy of my model, which is still being worked on. He then also turned around and deleted everything. By the way, guys, remember, we actually read that. Or, like, we listened to it. Because here again, Guilty's like, hey, why haven't I been added to the group chat? Shino's questioning a wrong date, and Guilty says, no, it was an accident. Why have I not been added? Shino says, you haven't sent me the model to check. You haven't updated me about talking with Shin. Every time we talk, we're fine, but in DM, you're not. I don't mind calling, but I need a real update as to what's going on and what you want to do. And Guilty says, once again, I made it clear, I don't have an update on the model. With Shin or not, doesn't matter. Your contract is with me, and he's not fault. None of this has to do with your question of are at hand. Are you or are you not going to give me access to my lore video? And Shino says the same reason that I have not been updated on the model. And Guilty's like, it's my IP. Not only that, I did not upload you if I'm waiting on an update myself. I as well have offered to pay for myself if you keep withholding the invoices. And Guilty says, can you include in the document that you will immediately release the art for the lore video April 7th, 2025? Shino says, I cannot, but I do have the files ready here for you. Guilty says, what do you mean you can't? And Shino says, I have the files in the drive ready to send and sends a screenshot. Then Guilty says, I'll be comfortable if you send them and then I sign. Or you add it to the contract and I sign. Wanted to fight with me about adding to my termination contract that the art would be mine. And Shino says, I'm not going to keep them from you, but I'm not adding any changes. This looks to be referencing the art. By the way, what the hell is going to fuck your word after all this? Put it in the contract. Contracts are legally binding. It's like an extra line for you to type up. And Guilty says, Shino, you've always made it clear to me that everything should be listed in the contract. Quote, always have it in the contract to cover your ass, end quote. Shino says, you're right, and now I'm covering mine. I've been on the up and up with you the whole time. I offered the refund, happy to pay it, came up with the updated amount so you can get your stuff, but I'm not jumping through any more hoops. And Guilty says, Shino, I just asked that you add it in the bottom, quote, that you will release the art and ownership over to me as soon as I sign, end quote. I'm not asking for any other changes, just that one add-on. Then Shino sends something that's censored and says, how about this? Can I add this? I'll send you access. You have the day to download it. And after that, I'm removing it and I will not be responsible for it. I put spoilers because of your name. And then Guilty sends the line, you know. Manager redacted agrees to give Alpha redacted access to the Guilty Thorns lore art for 24 hours. And then Guilty adds, as well as full ownership rights transferred to the talent. Shino says can't be full ownership of rights because my committee artist will still have to be credited. And Guilty says, I understand the artist, but I was under the impression there was no video made. I'm sorry, but what did the team do? You know, I'm now covering the
Hello,
cost,
silly.
Welcome
to my stream.
Meaning we may still reference the work in our portfolio of projects we work on and otherwise as well. And Guilty's like, that has nothing to do with ownership, but I have no problem crediting you guys. Some of the things have been out of order, so now we can see the thing about the credit. Shino was talking about being burned by people, etc. And then Shino's like, I'm not releasing that contract to you. Guilty's like, why would I be paying for it? Shino says, we're releasing each other from our contract. In this arrangement, you'll get the rights to use it as we discussed in our agreement for the lore video. And they add the clause and they say, use it will be agreed upon, and they will not be under any contract with you anymore afterwards. That's not giving you their contract with us. Guilty's like, you want to end the contract early. I have my demands. want me to pay for the art, which I have no problem doing. I want the ownership rights, as long as I don't do commercial. You want me to pay what Mina charged you, but not obtain the rights that comes with it? I have not signed anything yet, and now we see why Shin does not want me to. Kino says we don't have full owner rights on it as it was not originally meant for that. Hence why I said I could not put that in the agreement. However, I'm asking them for how much more they would want for that. If that's the case, we could set out paying the difference, and if that's what you want, then we can work out paying for that. And Goku says, I mean, all ownership that Flask had would need to be transferred to me. As in the contract, I have no problem stating Flask did management and of course Mina. They did all that work. I want the right to my art without any issue or fear of being DMCA stricken by Flask. I know you will say you won't, but I'd rather cover my ass like you have always said. And I'd rather pay out myself with Mina since that way than be between me and Mina. So they go back and forth about the ownership. We've read the screenshot already. Shino called them, they missed it, and Shino says, I have a middle ground. They're willing to do full rights excluding merge at no extra cost. Is that fair? And Goku says, that's all I was asking for. Shino says they had to agree to the carve out, not something I could just say or do on my own. And they did. I'm gonna send that to them when we're good. I'll send the updated one to you. I'll have this one in, so they added the clause that they're gonna add it. Dude, this guy is historically just an awful manager. Just an awful person, but God, bro's literally hostage,ing his talents, hostage,ing his stuff. Oh wow. Now we have another talent, Orca. So originally Orca was redacted, then they decided to include their name, so they are redacted from the screenshots, but the screenshots are about Orca. In the instance below, the talent asked for a copy of their contract as one was never sent after they signed, which Shino refused to send and inquired why they needed it, and it was very hard to get him to send it. Only after a phone call could we provide the contract. Oh my God, this is predatory. You should always have a copy of the contract you signed, and that should be willingly and enthusiastically given to you. You shouldn't feel like you're climbing Mount Everest to get your manager, who is unprofessional, to give it to you. So Orca's like, I need a copy of my contract, please. And then Shino's asking about the tax person. Orca says, no, but I want the contract. Shino's like, what happened? And Orca's like, I want a copy. And it's bothering me. I don't have it, so can you please send it to me? I like to keep things I have signed. And Shino says the aggression here would lead me to believe otherwise. And Orca's like, what aggression? And Shino says, you're telling me there's nothing going on right now? Why can't...
Chris Zucchini at Aldi might inspire you to step up your game. Very interesting, ladies, and some more It's French from Wallace. Quality at unbeatable prices. It's an Aldi.
Hey, sweetie.
Honey, everything okay?
What happened, hon? And he just send it. Why is everything with Chino so hard, bro? Like, Chino is so combative for no reason, to his talent especially. If you're gonna do that to your romantic partner, you just suck. But do that to your talent, bro. And Orca's like, I'm just asking, as I have a right to my contract. My parents wish to see it, so I need it. And Chino says, oh, okay, that's fine. And then they call, and then Orca says, I'm with my parents, I can't. Shino's like, why did you remove me from the YouTube? And Orca says, my parents are going over all my shit. It's a serious talk of having with them right now. They told me to. And Shino says, why? Orca says they said no contract means somebody shouldn't have access to my shit, and they aren't comfortable with it. And I live in their house rent-free right now. Shino's like, do you feel that way? And Orca says, no matter what I feel, it's not my house. It's not my house, it's not my internet. Shino, I don't know what to tell you. I need my contract. Why can't you send me the contract? And Orca says my parents are going over all my stuff as we speak and looking at my YouTube and everything, and they need to see this contract. Shino's like, what's this about? And Orca's like, not having a job and Twitch being my job. They want the breakdown of everything. So yeah, Shino's like, that doesn't explain why you booted me from the YouTube. Dude, are you dense? Orca literally just explained this. Like, if you are too dense to understand this, you are too dense to be a manager. Which, I mean, we're clearly seeing. And then Orca's like, it's a serious talk I'm having with them right now. Why can't you send me the contract? I never got a copy. Shino says, do you mind if I talk with them with you to see what the upsetness is about? Orca says, and yeah, no, we don't want to hear anything about you unless they see the contract. Shino says, should be an email, just check to make sure yours was sent at signing and I can send it. But there's more to this, I'm being told. And I'm not talking into anger without some understanding of what or why. Orca's like, I'm not angry, I'm trying to handle my hands. But I can't without it. Doesn't mean I'm angry. And Orca again is like, I never got a copy. No, we can't. They want proof of contract, visual hard proof. Shino's like, I'm glad they want proof, and I don't mind if they want proof. I don't mind showing it, but I want to know who I'm actually talking to, since the contract has your personal info on it, and my personal info. I'm not just giving that out randomly, unless they actually know what's going on. Orca's like, it's for redacted. And Shino says, no offense, that they can't prove who I am on the other line with. I'm not sending you anything when I talk to or directly, if you want to put me on speaker so they can hear me, then I'll be happy to. Then Orca sends their personal email, and Shino says, I'm not sending you anything until I actually talk to you. I know that it's you on the other side. If you want to call me, I'm right here. Then they call, and Orca's like, do you want me to hang up? Shino's like, can you hear me? And they send the Vegas tweet. Anytime you will ask a toxic partner something, an abusive partner, they go pick some stupid little thing to have a fight with, ask you why you can't have this said thing, right? Like if you were to ask your partner, and this is like triggering me low-key because like I've had a relationship like this where I don't want people to hang out with my friends, and there's like one guy there, and then they're all of a sudden like, you can't hang out because there's one dude here, and I'm like, why can I not go like I don't know bowling with my friends if she's bringing her boyfriend? And then he'll be like, no, because that guy might look at you, and then he's gonna fall for you, and then he's gonna want to like date you. He might do something to you. And I'm like, are you fucking insane? They've been dating for 3 years. It's always some stupid reason that makes legitimately no sense, and they use this tiny stupid reason to go and try to leverage stuff out of you to wield power. And like they might eventually give in. Right? Like he eventually gave the contract, I guess. But it's to have that power of being able to fight with you and try to make you submit that these people are like, oh god, this guy's giving me major ick. I want to say some vile things right now, guys, but we should not. Talent was also informed that Shino speaks ill of the other talents behind their backs and shares details he should not. He also claims he got not only his ex-talent Diddley Darling blacklisted from things, but also Ibuki blacklisted since they spoke out about something that happened to them at a party Shino hosted. Again, no screenshots of this, that is word of mouth, but he bragged to people about getting others blacklisted. When issues happened with the talents, he made it seem like the issue happened was the talent's fault and not his own or somebody else's. There are no screenshots of this, but the talent was told due to their contract ending and the wording in their prior contract, as he made the contract through ChatGPT and didn't proofread what AI made, that they did not owe him what he insisted they give him for that month. They still offered to pay the base of $500 as they didn't want to screw him over, which he denied, so they did not steal him. So Orca writes, for my last payment, I'm only going to give you your base that you stated, 500 USD, which was very sneaky of you to add in there, as originally it was $400. As you always stated, but looking at this now, it says 500. I did talk to a lawyer here in Canada, and